Hi there, my name is Jacob. I'm a member of the team here at ubisend, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the best HR chatbot use cases. Before I begin, I'd like to introduce you all to my kitchen and my garden. The joy that remote working brings, you never know where you're going to be next. But anyway, back to the main course of the video. So what are the best HR chatbot use cases? Just to begin, I'm just going to give you a quick summary of what a HR chatbot is. It's essentially a employee-facing instant messaging service, but rather than being manned by someone 24/7, it uses natural language processing to answer all the questions itself. So it's an artificial intelligence machine that when you text it, replies to you. It will either answer your questions, maybe send you an onboarding or training video. It will guide you through some processes. It can, say, for example, just kind of complete some admin for you. So you might have file this somewhere. I can't bother to do it. Okay. So it's that kind of thing. It's basically a virtual assistant that's an extra extension of your HR department. And now, what do I mean by the best as well? I mean kind of what are proven to be the most popular and the most efficient, which use cases have the biggest impact on businesses today. So obviously this might change in a few years. I might end up updating this video kind of 3 years down the line. But at the moment, the biggest kind of HR chatbot use cases fall into 2 sections. We've got a frontline HR assistant FAQ chatbot, and then we've also got a streamlining employee processes chatbot. So they can kind of work together. They work quite well in tandem. And what I'll do throughout the video is I'll show you how these chatbots kind of work, what it's like to talk to them using the demo section of ubisend, and just kind of give you a little rundown of what you can use within those use cases. And I'm also going to throw in kind of like a bonus use case, which I'll come to towards the end of the video. It's not quite a standalone use case, but it's almost powerful enough to be talked about in its own sense as if it was. So let's jump into the demo. Okay, so as you can see, I'm in the demo section of ubisend here, and this is our little UbiHR chatbot that we just use for demonstration purposes. Although this is on the ubisend account, pretty much all HR chatbots are going to look basically the same. You can obviously have different options, such as embedding it within a page content where it might look a little bit different, but the functionality will remain the same. Now, as I mentioned, the first thing we're going to talk about too is an FAQ answering chatbot. Essentially, this is basically, a better way of phrasing this is a frontline assistant HR chatbot. It's the one that deals with all the repetitive questions that your HR department gets without them kind of having to have too much input themselves. So let's think, what's a kind of complex question? Not a complex, sorry, but what's kind of a basic FAQ question that HR get a lot? With something along the lines of, what is the health and safety policy? So this is a kind of question that HR will get emailed, and then they'll have to kind of copy and paste out a quick answer, and it just kind of takes a bit of time, and it's not the best kind of like use of the HR's time or resources. But here we've got a chatbot, answers it very quickly, and it's turned around and said, the health and safety policy can be found on page 100 of the employee handbook, and then it also links through to the employee handbook there. So a nice and simple one, just kind of a quick question there. It's also worth mentioning as well that obviously through natural language processing, it doesn't always have to be spelled the exact same. So you don't have to have an employee that's always saying, what is the health and safety policy? Like, they can kind of word it however they want. So say if you want to go H&S because somebody might be using abbreviations, through natural language processing, the chatbot's going to be able to understand that and return the same result. So what I'm getting at here is frontline HR assistant FAQ chatbot, however you want to call it, is going to be able to understand multiple variants of the same question and answer it with ease. So another example of a kind of a different type of question would be, how do I submit expenses? And I've spelt that wrong there, but we'll trust that the chatbot will be able to understand my typo. Okay. And so, as you can see, it's replied. You can either manually submit expense requests into your HR portal, or if you like, you can tell me about it and I'll take care of it. So this already kind of starts to branch a little bit into our second use case, which is streamlining processes, which I'll come on to in a second. But again, it's just another example of any kind of simple question that your HR department gets a lot. If you put it into a chatbot, bam, you've got your use case, you're saving your HR department a lot of time. 43% of the time, I believe, is an exact number, which I've taken from one of our case studies. You can check it out on the ubisend website. I'll put the link in the description. But for the time being, yep, so that's what an FAQ chatbot does. Now, without further ado, let's jump into use case number 2, streamlining employee processes. So I'm not even going to bother sending another message. I'll come on to a different kind of process in a bit. But for the time being, I want to show how a chatbot can flow from this FAQ, just a simple FAQ chatbot, into streamlining a process. So here I've asked if I can submit my expenses, and the chatbot told me how, or if it wants, it can just take care of it for me. So again, rather than people bothering your HR department with how do I submit an expense, you can just do it via the chatbot. So let's begin that process. So I'll just click submit expense here. And then the chatbot's kind of doing a little bit of pre-qualifying and validation to try work out what type of expense I have. So I've got the options. Obviously, these are all customizable. They're just quick buttons I can click. I can scroll through them, whether it's entertainment, personal, office equipment, office consumables, food or drink. Anyone that knows me at the office knows I love to eat a lot of food, so I'm going to go with food or drink there. And then again, just another quick bit of qualifying. Are you submitting a number of expenses or just one? Just one expense today. I haven't been eating that much, been on a diet. And so now you're entitled to clarify your own expenses with no pre-approval requirements. Please state the dates and the expenses occurred. So right here, just kind of click to choose the date and I'll be able to run through. So this is again something that is a little bit unique to ubisend, this kind of date picker. But a lot of chatbot providers, they might have a similar one, they might not. We like to use the date picker because it just makes things easier for people. But I'm going to say I had it on the 1st of December. I went out for a starting December lunch. And that was through just there. So I think it was just on the 1st of December. And what was the total amount of all expenses, including any VAT or taxes occurred? I'm going to say it was a big dinner. I'm going to go for £200. If you're watching this video in 20 years' time, maybe expenses has gone up, maybe, sorry, not expenses, but inflation's gone up an awful lot, and that's not a big dinner, but this was just for me, and I think £200 is a big dinner. So now, as you can see, I can upload the receipts below. I'm not obviously just going to upload the receipts now because it becomes a bit time consuming. So I'm just going to jump on to the next step for you. So I'm just going to click done. Obviously, normally I would attach the receipts there, but for the sake of the video, I've slightly tweaked this so I don't have to upload the receipts just to kind of showcase it. But as you can see, it says, thank you, these expenses have been logged. Expenses are paid in the end of the month and are paid each month in arrears on the 27th of the month. Sorry, fell over my words then. And if you have any questions, please contact the expenses team on extension 215 or expenses@ubisend.com. Have a good day. So immediately, as you can see, this is kind of a process which is quite complex. You've got, just scrolling up, quite a few different examples. So you can't see them here, but I had obviously the options for entertainment. I could choose many different types of food or drink. And I have to obviously input the date and the amount of money. The chatbot's already gathered all of this information and has logged them as my expenses for them to be reviewed manually by a HR team or however the internal process works. Okay, so now we're going to look at a different example. We're going to look at kind of, say, holiday booking. So let's just put book holiday here. So booking a holiday is normally quite a complex process, but here the chatbot's just going to handle it all for us. It already knows that it's used 17 out of my 22 days holiday this year. It knows this because obviously a little thing which we'll come on to maybe in a few later videos about how you can kind of set your chatbot up to be smart and aware and automatically know which employee is talking to it. Or of course, if you didn't want to do that, there will be a previous step where it'll just ask my name. And then what it does is it goes into your HRMS or maybe a spreadsheet, wherever it is, pulls that data through and kind of creates this personalized experience for your employees. It's the kind of the customer service of HR that's been talked about a lot recently. And now again, just use the link below to submit a holiday request to your line manager. So I'm going to click holiday request. It's like you have 17 days available. What's the start date? Obviously you mentioned the date picker earlier. I'm going to say I'm off for Christmas. I'm going to be off from Monday to, and I think I'll be off, just from Monday there. And then when will I be returning? I think I'll be coming back in Jan, so I'll say the Monday the 4th of Jan. So just off during the Christmas break, which is quite nice there. Okay, now they've confirmed the submission of the holiday. The request has been sent through to your line manager for acceptance. So this is something that you can't see in the chatbot here, but I can maybe show it to you a little bit down the line, which is an email would have gone out the back, so the chatbot would have automatically fired off that email. It would have been a pre-composed one, and so the email would have been pre-composed, sent off to the line manager, just so that they've kind of can give it that last final step of approval. Again, something that normally takes a bit of HR's time, now hasn't at all. Okay, and now, as I mentioned at the start of the video, there's kind of, this itself isn't quite a standalone use case, it's more of a bonus use case, a cherry on the top situation, if you like. It's the fact that your chatbot's dashboard can provide you with workforce analytics that you can't get anywhere else. And I'm talking about literally nowhere else at all. So the chatbot dashboard, it looks a lot like Google Analytics, but rather than providing insights for your customers and your website browsers, it's providing insights on your employees. So every single chatbot interaction, every single time an employee engages with your chatbot, it's going to be keeping a record of that and using it to update different metrics and to kind of inform the progress that you're making towards certain KPIs and certain goals. But the most important thing about it is with a quality dashboard like ubisend, you can customize this. So you can customize the metrics that are in it using either pre-built ones or your own defined metrics, so that the information that you see is completely unique to you. The reason that ubisend's gone down this route, and the reason that I really do think if you are talking to a chatbot provider and they can't provide you with this, kind of level of customizability, it might be worth looking elsewhere, is because HR departments as a whole are very unique to that business, whereas a customer service department can kind of get away with, they'll have pretty much the same SLAs as pretty much every other customer service department out there. There'll be a few tweaks here and there, but it's going to be pretty much the same. HR departments aren't like that. They'll have different numbers of employees at the business, different types of employees. Some will have field workers, some will have part-time workers, some will have remote workers, some remote workers will also be field workers and also part-time. There's so many variables to throw in. You need to be able to have control of what you can see, and that's what ubisend provides you with. So within the dashboard, sorry, I went on a little bit of a rant there, but let's bring it back to the kind of the dashboard use case. You can use it to inform you about employee pain points, kind of pinpoint causes of burnout, all of that kind of thing. That's what this is used for. So as you can see here, we've got the top FAQs triggered. And this is just kind of the amount of time someone's spoken to a chatbot, what are the questions. This in it alone is a great indicator of kind of the different kind of things that your employees most need the help with. Certain things, so say for example, how much maternity leave do I get? You're not going to be able to draw a huge amount of insights out of that particular example. But say, what are my benefits? How do I submit an expense? All of these things kind of tell you how up to date and how clued up your workforce are with company policies. So maybe if you say, like, especially this here, can I have a pay rise? If you see a large amount of this coming in, maybe at certain points in the year, it's kind of a really good indicator of how your employees are feeling. Are they maybe feeling a bit undervalued? You can really draw out a huge amount of insights from these. And another thing to mention about the ubisend dashboard, I spoke about it being customizable. I wasn't going to show you, but look, okay, so it's incredibly customizable. You've kind of got 30 to 40 different metrics that you can choose from here, and these are all the pre-built ones, and you can kind of drag and drop and place them wherever you want. So let's say you're interested in live chat users per location. Let's imagine you've got a few locations, a few different HR departments, and you want to know which area of the business needs the most help, which area maybe it might be worth doing some training for. I feel like there might be, say, up in Brighton, we've kind of got a few things going on compared to what we've got going on in London, and I think maybe Brighton might need a bit more of an input from HR at this time, but I'm not sure. So you just basically add that metric in. Obviously, this is just the demo account set up to my local machine, so it's not showing up a huge amount of data here, but in a real world example, this pie chart would obviously kind of display a range of users, and then that information can give you an insight. Okay, so maybe Brighton does need a little bit more of a HR input, or maybe it doesn't. So it's great for kind of directing what you want to do for HR. This looks horrible because of how it's laid out, but nice and simple. Just move it around, make data beautiful, move it wherever you want to, nice and simple. But another thing I wanted to talk to you about as well is, obviously, as a business, as I mentioned, you're going to have your own metrics that you want to see. So you just basically create them. It's really simple. I don't want this to become a how to use ubisend situation. I want it to still be quite top level and talk about the values a HR chatbot can bring. But I'm going to kind of go into just setting up your own metric because it does help explain the dashboard and the value it can give you. So let's say if you were interested in, I'm going to just use a quick example here of the amount of employees that requested an employee handbook. So it's quite a basic example. Let's say this really mattered to your business. You add the metric, and then what you do is when somebody speaks to your chatbot and asks for the employee handbook, it's really quite simple. Inside that conversation, you just tick like basically assign this to this metric. So this metric will now keep a rolling count of that. And then back in your dashboard, you just click edit. As you can see, that metric that I've added is now right here at the bottom. So I'll just add it into the dashboard. Oop, misclick there. Yeah, I'll add it into the dashboard, and here it is. So here we've got our new metric. And this is why I think this should be a standalone use case, really, because you're not going to be able to get this from anywhere else. Setting up your own unique metrics that track data that is relevant to your business is unique to a chatbot platform. And it's one of the reasons why we're seeing a lot of kind of like HR directors get really excited about the technology. Now, that's covered the main use cases of a HR chatbot. I've talked very quick. I hope you understand it all. Please do hit a subscribe onto the channel if you want more kind of HR chatbot and AI-related content. We're bringing it out all the time. And obviously, if you do want to see a little bit more about ubisend, you maybe want to know a little bit more about how the dashboard works, or you want to see a few of the conversation builder, you might want to have a little look and see how the conversation builder works, see if this can work for your business. I'll put the link down so you can get in touch in the comments. It's obviously free to get in touch. We'll just show you around. There's no pressure. We're just going to, if it's something you like, you move forwards. If it's not, you don't. Completely your choice. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you later.